Lafontaine, and I'd just like to acknowledge that I'm a visitor to this territory and really thank the elder for the prayers this morning, because I truly believe, starting off in a good way, prayer is one of those ways to start everything that I do in a good way. So I just want to acknowledge the fact that I'm a visitor here, and really truly honored to be coming to this community for the last 2 years. So I'm originally from George Gordon's First Nations, which is in Treaty 4 territory, but I've been coming to the north for about 15 years and worked in the area of mental health for the last 25 years. I am a happily single mother of 4 children. They're getting older now, so my youngest one is 13, so really around the same age as you guys. My second youngest is 17, and then I have a 20-year-old and a 24-year-old. I've devoted my life to this area of work for lots of personal reasons, and I remember growing up, things were really challenging for me, and I was in and out of foster care systems and really feeling quite alone in my journey. And I remember saying a prayer to Creator, if you get me out of this life, I promise I will devote my life to serving people in similar situations. And by good luck and by good prayers, my prayers were answered. And I had opportunities to meet really good people. But the things that I learned most about mental health really came from sitting down and engaging with elders and knowledge keepers and traditional people that taught me a lot about the history of Canada, the history of being a First Nations woman in this country, and really learning about those that history and what that history meant to the experiences that I had. And that was one of the key turning points in my life, was to get connected to people that understood what I was going through, and really starting to have an honest conversation with people about the experiences that I had, and then learning to give that back. So the good thing, the things that I've learned about mental health, I've really learned from my personal experiences. I have an education background in clinical social work, but it came from that lived experience of understanding what I went through as a kid growing up, and devoting my life to helping others in ways that would have meaning. Because one of the things that's really important to having good mental health is having meaning to your life. What is my purpose? Why did I have to go through those things? And in my experience in working in the area of mental health, our most gifted healers, our most gifted people that have understanding, have a really shared experience of surviving through very difficult and challenging circumstances. And they have that ability, that natural ability to make those connections. So I encourage you, when we're thinking about what good mental health is, what is the meaning behind your experiences? Really trying to understand, why did I have these particular opportunities? Why am I going through things that I'm going through? And normally it's because somebody else will come into your path that has shared a similar kind of experience. The other thing for good mental health is having purpose. You know, one of the things that I learned very early on from traditional elders that I was working with is, Tania, everybody on this earth came here with a purpose. Everybody has a purpose to why they're here. You've got to figure out what that purpose is. And so when I started to think about my own life and my own situations, I realized that I had a purpose to give back. And I had a purpose to share my experience and not be ashamed of the struggles that I went through. Not be ashamed of the addiction path that I had traveled down. Not to be ashamed of getting in trouble with the law, but actually using all those experiences to help other people in similar situations. And I'm really honored. When I was in school, my professors told me it would take a really long time to build trust with people. And when I started to do the work, what I found is that people either really trusted me right away, or they just didn't. They weren't ready for that. There was that energy, that flow between people, where you decide right away in the first moment that you're there, whether you're going to be able to relate to that person. And I truly believe that our experiences help us relate to other people. It's that feeling of separation that causes those things in our head that say we don't belong. So the third part of good mental health is having a place where you feel like you belong. And there's lots of young people in here today, and I'm really honored and grateful that you guys are here to share in the understanding of good mental health. So I always feel better when there's young people in the room, and I know that a lot of people feel that way. So having that sense of belonging to your family, belonging with your friends, belonging in your community, having that sense of we belong somewhere, we come from somewhere. And for the first parts of my healing journey, I really connected with Anishinaabe people, and they told me you can stay here for a little while, Tania, but you have to go back and you have to find out where you came from. And so I've been doing that. And being able to connect to people in the role that I do. So in my other job, I work for the Health Authority down south. And being able to connect with my family and have that sense of community, that's what I see when I come to this territory, is that sense of community, that sense of, we belong here together. And I really appreciate that. Because living in an urban environment, we don't always have that sense of community and that sense of belonging. So I appreciate and value that when I come to this territory. The other thing that's really important in the work that I've done personally and professionally, the magic ingredients to good mental health, and this is not anything that you might hear in books, is that sense of hope. People have to have hope that tomorrow is going to be different. People have to have hope that whatever they're going through, there's going to be a change for tomorrow. And so that sense of hope that I get that through watching other people who have been in similar circumstances. And growing up or raising my children on my own, there had to be a sense of hope. There had to be, that it was a difficult challenge to balance work and having 4 babies and doing all this stuff. You needed to have that sense of hope for another day. So when we're working with people, there are different kinds of supports that we can have. And some of those supports are informal supports. Those would be like your friends and your family and those connections to communities. But then there's also formal supports where you can go and share your secrets. You can go and have a conversation with somebody about things that matter to you. And the things that I've learned most often is that people that come into my office or connect with me, they just want somebody to listen. They don't need an answer to the problems that they're experiencing. They need somebody to listen and just say, I'm here with you. And that's the magic ingredient to working in the area of mental health, is people just want to be heard. So thinking about that, how we can put these things together to support ourselves and support our communities, support our families and friends. Those 4 things that I just talked about are so critical to good mental health, and they're having purpose, belonging, having meaning, and that magic ingredient of hope. And for me, with hope, I do that through prayer. Through prayer, that those prayers will be heard somewhere. So I'm going to stop because I talk really fast and I talk a lot. But there's an activity that I'd like us to just, so that we're not just sitting here listening to people randomly talk. And what I'd like you to do is turn to the person on your left, then turn to the person on your right, introduce yourself, and I'd like you to tell them their importance. So turn to the left, then turn to the right, introduce yourself. What time do you We're going fast. We are.
going through agenda like crazy.
So I'm going to stop for a minute and ask some members from the group, how did that feel to interact with the person on your left and the person on your right? I'm going to ask you.
Me?
Yeah.
I said thank you for Dr. Yu for my health and my well-being. And to Alice, who works at the school with me, for keeping me on my toes and reminding me of things. These are the two most important people in my life that gives me hope.
Wonderful.
Today.
How about somebody from this side? How did it feel to hear you are important or to tell somebody they're important? Anybody else want to share? One of the things that we don't do as often as we should sometimes, myself included, is to remind people how important they are, no matter what. And I remember I talked to some medicine people that I worked with from the Navajo Nation, and I told them about this thing that goes on in Saskatoon where when you're driving through Tim Hortons drive-thru, sometimes the person in front of you will buy your coffees for you. Mm-hmm. And they don't have Tim Hortons in their territory, and one of the things they said is that's such a beautiful gift to share with somebody. So I remember one time I was driving and I bought the drinks, and it was a bagel and a chocolate milk for the person behind me. And then I drove to the co-op, which was just about a block away, and he followed me and he jumped out of his car and he's like, "Why would you do that?" And he started yelling at me, and I said, "Do what?" And I said, "I was just buying stuff for you." And he said, "Today I gave up on humans. I had no faith in human beings and humanity, and I lost all hope that there was good people in this world." And he started to cry. And he said, "Thank you for reminding me that there are people in here that are kind and are just doing things because they care." So I encourage us to really start looking at ways we can show people that they're important, whether they're our friends, our family, they're people on the street. People need to hear and have that connection, and you have no idea what the person beside you is truly going through or feeling. And so sometimes just those small acts of kindness are the biggest healers and game changers for people. And to this day I remember him, and I did that because on that day my son lost his strongest spiritual mentor, and I was feeling really, really low and scared for him that he had lost one of his most significant people. And my mom always told me, when you feel like you can't go on, the quickest way to heal is to help somebody else. And no matter where we are, we have the opportunity to help people. I don't care if you're a social worker, you're a doctor, wherever you're at, we have the opportunity to help people in ways they can't help themselves. And so when I do my work, I try really hard to inspire people to do what's right for the person beside you, because you have the power to do that. And that's how real change happens. It doesn't happen, I don't want to be out of a job and say it doesn't happen in my office, but those connections, those real connections, that genuine healing comes from us being able to reach out and help people when they need that support. And not just in the crisis times, but every day. And when we start to do those things, traditionally, I was told you start to heal. When you start to give, you start to heal. And that sense of that good mental health that we're talking about today, that good heart health, comes from doing the right thing for yourself and for other people. But we have to let other people know they're not alone. Because sometimes we feel like we're the only person going through whatever we've experienced, or that the things we've experienced we're never going to get over. And so we have to reach out to one another and say, you matter, you're important, and I'm here to just listen. I've never been to a community in my life where they needed the answer from me. the answers they had came from within. And my job was just to facilitate where I could those good changes that people had. And I've had the opportunity to work in lots of really wonderful places where I've worked in corrections, where I've worked primarily with kids that were in gangs or had committed serious offenses. And I worked with them to the point that I was told, when you work with people, you work with them long enough until they're ready to walk by themselves. And I honestly can say I've walked with people for 25 years who ended up going back to university and now going to support other people. And I've supported generations of families, and I was like, now I'm telling you guys how old I am. But that opportunity to give back does more for me and my family. Being a single mom, my kids are very honored that I come and I support other kids that may be going through difficult circumstances. They're very honored to share that time so that we can give back and support each other in a way that makes sense. And to inspire that hope for a better day for other people as well. And so I encourage you as we move forward to really try to connect with people. Every day, the things that I was taught that provide really good mental health was to pray in the morning and pray before I go to bed. Before I get out of bed, say those prayers for a good day and for people that are struggling. I was taught to give gratitude. So I give thanks 1,000 times a day for the things. To be grateful for what I have, because what I have, other people are striving for, other people might want. And that's good health. And being able to support community and being able to be a part. I feel good when I come to this community, and when I leave, I feel good because of those connections that I have in the community, but also the territory. When you live in an urban setting, it's very noisy, it's very loud, there's a lot of light pollution. When you come up north, you get grounded and reconnected to that work and to being who I want to be. And that's the other ingredient for good mental health, is living your life on your terms, the way that is right for you, and not worrying about what other people have to say about that. Because there's too much judgment going on about who we are. And I've learned it doesn't matter how hard I try. I'm kind of like an olive. People either just really like me or they really hate me. There is no in between with me. I'm an acquired taste. And I am okay with that. But it took me a long time to get to that place, to be confident and to really trust my judgment. So good mental health really is focusing on those things. And for me, it is about giving back. And the best way to mental health is to give back to people when they can't support themselves. At this time, I've done a lot of talking. Are there any questions? Any comments? Did it make sense?
Mental health, mental health is something to do with your health, right? And plus your mind. Mental health health it's really I understand what you talked about, so it's really good that you have mentioned all those things. It is good to acknowledge somebody every day. Then hellos ni then la who can is could then I told them that if you pass somebody, meet somebody, say hello instead of just walking by or whatever, because it makes that person feel good. You don't know the other person, how they feel. Then I found hello, they feel better. I know that's how I feel. Then that's when you feel like you're connected to another person. It's true, that's how it is, it should be. But I'm glad that these young adults, young people came to give you guys more information. You have a whole life ahead of yourselves. I hope you guys pick up a few things.
I have some experience where when we start hitting the age of over 70, our mental health start bothering us. And it either goes back to when you're young, of what you've done, and when you start getting old, you start thinking about those things. Because you never know when you're going to hit the hay one this day. So you start thinking about this, and then you start phrasing it to others, like maybe what some elders sitting here probably know that. There's lots of mental thing that we go through which we never reveal. We keep it in ourselves. And like we live in Stony Rapids, where I don't think we ever have any access to this kind of a mental worker that will give us direction of how to reveal the strange feelings that we have, that we experience when we start hitting the age of over 70, because, you know, it gets to be a problem not only for yourself, but it does to the family and to the community. So I think it's good that we do get this kind of a message, and hopefully that somebody would help us, you know, because some of us, we don't have, we hide things in ourselves which we don't reveal to anybody. When we're old, we're proud of ourselves. Maybe we shouldn't, you know, sometimes we don't want to talk to anybody about it. Even to our wives, sometimes we don't even reveal it to her, because maybe she has a problem too. You know, it gets to be a family problem.
And I thank you for that, because that's really important to the work and to understanding where we can do better and we can come and we can listen. Because it is your generation that will teach us how to live in a good way, right? And a lot of that comes from the mistakes that we make along the way. And having that opportunity, you know, and I would encourage you, and I will follow up with this and make sure that this is my commitment, that if there is anybody in that age that is going through those things, that I would come and sit with you in your home. Not in the office, right? In your home. And just listen. And have that opportunity, because there's so many times in this country, in this society, where we learn to keep everything inside like some big secret. And when we're actually able to shed that secret, we become free. When another person witnesses our pain and our story, we become that much more free. So thank you, and you just taught me so much.
Sometimes the elders get forgotten. Because they don't want to reveal their secrets or whatever. And nowadays, there's hardly any elders around, so it could be a problem too, you know. So those kind of things we're kind of lacking. We are really lacking in that area.
So my commitment to you is to make sure that I'm reaching out to the right people, to just let them know I'm here to listen. I'm one person, but I am here, and there is a team of mental health people that come up, really good people. And I'm sure if we had a conversation, that would be something that would be very important to the work we're doing. Thank you for that.
So Marcy, Victor, for sharing that, Marcy. And she said, mental health hadu no dene behavior kuri inene kwana baduli ko eha hene to help you. It's ne kwan ne healthy down no nini no badode no hel behavior ki ha hene. Okay, then rest okay ene. So anytime nini ane badode mental health John hospitals and phone and code nurse behavior ki they can direct you to mental health right away. Ka o nini ane badode atene ba ya kezena hene bagan ya ki de ne wak atna ne ha hene Bagan yaki lede dena ha yana hene kan o yaki ya bagan da yoki de niskene ko ne kwe ko kan o efada yoki de yerde nezu hene kule nentana yankuri in the mental health but amfona in lade yerde no it's ni ha hene no kwen duli no anasaya hene. Thank you, Tania.